Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sma, and I just hit Challenger under 100 games. So today I wanted to bring a guide on why these players can hit Challengers under 100 games. A guide to climbing smartly and efficiently. So before I get with the content, check this out. So I took from the Lulchess ladder some of the players that I have either reached rank 1 or very consistently top players. You can notice that a lot of these players have played less than 100 games and reached over 500 LP. Little shout out to myself on the left. But with this data, aren't you a little curious on how these players reach 500? Well, today I'm going to give you some tips on how to climb in your own TFT games to get to the top of the ladder. Tip number 1. They are smart players. So top 10 players are all smart as they can adapt very easily. They will take their time to look at other Twitch streamers to see what works and what doesn't, and in lobbies in which they die early, so like 4th, 5th, they'll take 5 to 10 minutes to scout which comps beat them and how they can improve for the next game. So throughout the day they do some of the tasks I list below, so either knowing the meta, finding what the best, most effective climbing comps are, emotional gaming, so knowing when they should stop queue and not play when they aren't in the best shape, so like the mental game. And point number 3, discussion. They always like to discuss with other competitive TFT players to see their opinions on different comps and metas, and that way they can improve on their gameplay overall. Moving to tip 2, they make very little mistakes. So this is either through their positioning, leveling out of curve, and even rolling. So a lot of top players are very confident in their play, and they know when they need to swap sides, they know when to look for dangers, and they need to know how they can push their skill expression to the max, basically. For example, in the early game, you want to avoid the Kha'Zix that's going to assassinate your carry, so may that be either clumping your units all the way to the back, or just doing an easy quick swap to the right or the left to avoid that Kha'Zix. While if you are the Kha'Zix player, you need to take your time to scout and look for those isolated targets to make sure that you save that 2 HP. So when you're in the late game, when everyone else is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 HP, you will get out with one placement higher or least. So also knowing when to level out of curves, so everyone knows the idea of the 3-2 level 6 curve, 4-1 level 7 curve, and 5-1 level 8 curve. But a lot of top challengers know when to push early levels to make sure that they can keep a streak, may it be a win streak usually, but a lose streak for you don't really level for a lose streak, but lose streak for continue a lose streak, and how to make sure they sack the last round to continue the lose streak. And one more thing that is important is they know how to roll properly. Knowing when to roll for your pairs and not your pairs is also really important, and knowing when to stop rolling and not to tilt roll. So a lot of these mistakes are very apparent when you can look back in the VOD, but during the game and in the moments, challengers will not make a lot of these mistakes. Tip number 3, play 1st or 8th. A lot of you might have heard this expression, but for these challengers, it's rather play for 1st or 4th. So top players know how to play for 1st when they have the given openers for it, and when they must struggle for 4th. On the ladder, when climbing up to 500 LP, the riskier plays are often worth it. For example, sacking 2 more rounds to make sure that you have 30 gold to roll on level 9 is often the right play if going for the 1st. So and on the flip side, where you have situations where there's no gold openers, shops are disastrous, and your roll down you miss, then a challenger will have to use their best skill expression to try and salvage 4th or 5th. But on the left side, I put a little tip for everyone. A 1st can give up to 52, 60 LP, while a 4th gives up to 10 LPs. So if you look at it in a perspective of 4 4ths equal 1 1st, you can see that it's definitely worth playing for 1st rather than 8th. So a lot of challengers you could see, including myself, have over a 20% win rate, and don't take that number for short, as like at the end of season usually people have 10%, but early season challengers have up to 20% first win rates, and that's because they know when to push for the first, and they know that if you get a first you get over 4 times a fourth LP. Tip number 4, the most controversial of them all: they subscribe to SMA. But okay, seriously, every morning top players wake up and check what are the best players doing and what's their push, what they are using to push, and what success they have. So, for example, Emily Wang, said on a stream once that she woke up, checked LoL chess, and they checked rank 1 and saw like what were they doing. At that time, it was Beppo Carrots, Cav, MF reroll, and at that time, no one knew what they were going up against until it was contested. So, just figuring out what the community is going and abusing is really important, as they have to either choose to abuse with it or find a counter on the side. So top players like to see what other top players are doing and can quickly grasp of certain comps and put it into like their little niche of comps they have. So for example, what's an OP formula in the game right now? Is it Warweak? Was it Rakan from set 4 with Sunfire? Is it A-Bomb, or is it now Legionnaires for Fast 9? Scouting is really important, and also subscribing to SMA if you haven't. Tip number 5, find your personal style. So learn from others, and seeing how others win allow players to develop their own style of gameplay. So you can see a lot of like these new TFT players coming into the meta, and they all design their gameplay based on one of the quote-unquote old guards. So some basic styles that I'll list out for you are aggressive slamming, aggressive leveling, loose streaking, finding the perfect items, or even having a very fast roll down. So each of these styles, you need to find someone personal you can pin yourself against and adapt to your own personal play style. So thank you for listening to my explanation of why some of these players can hit Challenger under 100 games. Look forward to some of my next videos that I'll be putting out, like how to properly use your Radiant items, why you should play the best comp of the game, A-Bomb. Do subscribe below, and look forward to my next game. Let me know how I did in this video, and have a good one.